one.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Today our group 11 is going to walk you through something that touches all of our lives every single day. The impact of inflation on daily life. From grocery prices to bus fares, we have all felt it creeping up. This project was prepared by our group under the guidance of our course supervisor. Now that introductions are out of the way, let's jump straight into the topic. So, what exactly is inflation? In simple terms, it means the general price level of goods and services keeps rising over the time. And as prices go up, the value of the money goes down. So the same amount of money buys us less than it used to. Let's break that into 3 points. First, prices of everyday goods and services keep increasing. Second, the value of money itself decreases. And third, because of the first two things, people end up being able uh, to buy fewer products with the same amount of money. So basically, that's why 100 taka today does not stretch as far as it did a few years back. And that, in a nutshell, is what inflation means. Now, our next group member is going to continue the presentation.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. I'm Samira Haq. So now let's imagine a real life situation here. Here we have the same family with the same monthly income but in two different periods, last year and today. At first glance, nothing seems to have changed because their income is exactly the same. However, if we look at their monthly expenses, the picture is completely different. For example, grocery expenses increased from 18,000 to 20,000 and electricity bills increased from 2,500 to 4,000. As everyday expenses continued to rise, the family savings dropped dramatically from 10,000 BDT to only 2,000 BDT. This is the real impact of inflation. Even when income remains unchanged, rising prices reduces our purchasing power. In simple words, we can buy fewer goods and save much less with the same amount of money. So what actually causes inflation? Inflation doesn't happen because of just one reason. The first is demand pull inflation. When consumers demand more goods and services than producers can supply, prices naturally increase. The second is cost push inflation. When the cost of raw materials, wages, fuel, or electricity increases, producers raise product prices to cover those additional expenses. The third is monetary inflation, which occurs when too much money circulates in the economy, creating higher demand without a corresponding increase in production. Another important reason is imported inflation. If imported goods become more expensive due to global price increase or currency depreciation, domestic prices also rise. Finally, structural factors such as supply chain disruptions, government policies, or market inefficiencies can also push prices upward. To conclude, inflation is not caused by a single event. It is the combined effect of demand, supply, production costs, money supply, and external economic factors. Thank you. Now the next slide will be continued by our next team member.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Now I will explain the ripple effect of inflation. Inflation means a continuous increase in prices of goods and services. But inflation does not only make things more expensive, it creates a chain reaction throughout the economy, which is why we call it a ripple effect. Now let's go through the process step by step. First, price increases. The cost of everyday items such as food, transportation, healthcare, and clothing becomes higher. Second, because of prices increases, purchasing power falls. This means that the same amount of money, people can buy fewer goods and services than before. In other words, the value of money decreases. Third, as purchasing power falls, the cost of living rises. Family have to spend more of their daily needs like groceries, rents, electricity, and transport. As a result, managing household expenses become more difficult. Fourth, when people spend more basic necessities, their savings shrink. They have less money left to save their spent and non-essential items such as entertainment and luxury products. Fifth, because consumers spend less, investment slows, business face lower demand and higher production costs. So they become more cautious about production costs and they become more about expanding their operations or investing in new projects. Sixth, when Investment decreases, economic growth slows down, and fewer investment can lead to lower production, fewer job opportunities, and slower development in economy. Finally, the last effect is inequality widens and inflation affects everyone, but hurts lower income and middle income families and both because of this. So that's from my part. Now my team member Ishtiaq Ahmed will conclude the presentation.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. I'm Mr. Ahmed and I would like to talk about the impact of inflation on daily life, or how does the inflation actually affect on the daily life of normal or general people. So basically there are three types of impacts we have classified. The first one is economic impact, and in this part there are some important notes such as it has reduced the purchasing power, it has lowered the real income, and it also loses the value of our savings. And in the point of social impact, we can see that the food prices have been increased, the housing cost also been increased, and transportations also become expensive. But apart from economic and social impact, there is also a major impact, that is psychological impact. So in the term of psychological impact, we can see that people are facing more financial stress, the quality of life also reduced, and people are also concerned about the uncertainty of the future. And in the next part, I would like to share that who are mostly affected. In this part, I would like to say there are four types of people, or the four types of category are more affected. The first one, they are low income families, as their basic needs become difficult to afford because of low income. And the second one is students, their education and living costs also increased. And the third one, the fixed income employees, as their salary grows slowly, or even though their salary is fixed, while prices rise quickly. And the final, they are small business like the tea stalls or the small farms or the small local shops. Their operating costs also been increased, but profits decreased. That was my part, and I would like to give the floor to my next teammate, Nusrat Jahan Nitu.
Thank you, Ishtiaq. Myself Nusrat Jahan Nitu, ID 001. So now let's look at how people adapt to inflation. For families, inflation means making smarter financial decisions. Many people create monthly budgets, buy only essential items, search for discounts, and reduce unnecessary or luxury spending. These small changes help families cope with rising prices, but they can also reduce their overall quality of life. On the other hand, the government plays a crucial role. It can stabilize prices through effective policies, encourage production to increase the supply of goods, provide support to low income and vulnerable groups, and strengthen the economy to reduce the long term impact of inflation. So, adapting to inflation is not only an individual's responsibility, it also requires effective government action. Now, to conclude, inflation affects much more than just prices. It influences what we eat, how we travel, how much we save, and even the opportunities we can afford. It impacts students, workers, businesses, and families alike. Understanding inflation helps us make better financial decisions and reminds us to why strong economic policies are important for society. I would like to end with this quote: inflation doesn't just rise prices, it raises the value of wise decisions. Thank you, everyone, for your time and attention.